You know, there's just something about pumpkin that has the flavor of the season, and I really enjoy it in lots of things. But if you've ever tried to cook with pumpkin, you may be a little frustrated because they can be difficult to deal with, but I've got an easy way to get the best out of a pumpkin like this. Now, I like these little small New England pie pumpkins, and what I like to do is bake them whole in the oven. And I can put 4 or 5 on a cookie sheet of this size. What you want to do first is you want to take a meat fork and poke several holes in and pierce the entire skin and flesh of the pumpkin. And then place the pumpkins in a preheated oven at 375 degrees to roast. Now, just to give you an idea, a 5-pound pumpkin should take about an hour. Once you take the pumpkins out of the oven, let them cool, and then slice a single pumpkin across the middle into 2 halves, and then remove all of the seeds and scoop out the flesh with a spoon. Now, what I like to do is then take that flesh and puree it, put it in freezer bags, pop it in the freezer, and then it's there anytime you need it. Now, this is a recipe you're going to love. It's perfect for the fall, but it involves some unlikely ingredients. Heritage chicken, the thighs, the dark meat, and pumpkin. So it's heritage chicken and pumpkin stew. Now, what I've done here is I'm just sauteing with about a tablespoon of canola oil, 1.5 pounds of the chicken thighs, deboned, and I have 1 bell pepper, red, chopped, as well as a yellow onion, chopped, and I have 1 teaspoon of garlic. And I've cooked this for about 10 minutes until the onions are translucent. Just look at it, it's very beautiful. Now I'm going to turn this off, let this just sit. The second part of the recipe involves getting the stew pot out and adding these ingredients. I've got 1.5 cups of chicken broth, pouring it in here. I have 2 cups of tomatoes, diced tomatoes, pouring those in. That's 1 can of tomatoes. And then we really just want about a teaspoon of salt. So just kind of measure that there with your fingers. And then what I have here is some paprika, and I have 2 tablespoons of paprika. Now I'm going to turn this on, get the fire going here. Whoops, it's a little too much. There we go. We want to bring this to a boil. And just look at this, how beautiful it is. It's so red, perfect for an autumn meal. Now I'm going to work over here on a thickener. And I'm going to use cornstarch, but I'm going to start with 1/2 cup of chicken broth. And then I'm just going to add the cornstarch. And there's really not much cornstarch here at all. There's about 1 tablespoon, actually 2 tablespoons. And I do it just a bit at a time because you don't want it to clump. So let it dissolve. Makes sort of a milky substance. And then we're going to add something which I think is a very interesting flavor, peanut butter. Let's get all this in here first. As you can see, that's all dissolved very well. And what this is going to do is give our stew a real stew quality. And now I'm adding the peanut butter, and it's just 1/4 cup of peanut butter. So with all that mixed in together, we want to get it blended and mixed. It just takes a little bit of time and patience. So you're just going to mix this until it's, almost dissolved like this, because once it gets all poured into our big stock pot over here, the peanut butter, the oil in it will melt and it'll all come together nicely. So there we go. We have that ready. All right, so this has come to a simmer, so we're ready to add the other ingredients. What I have here, I have 3 cups of pumpkin, and what I like to use are these little New England pie pumpkins. You can see them sitting on the counter over here. They're very sweet. Just going to mix that in there just a bit. And you can see they're nice chunks. This will be a very sort of rustic stew. And then I have 2 cups of green beans, fresh and snapped at about 2 inches long each. All right? So these vegetables are going to cook. And the reason I do it this way is because I don't want the vegetables to become mushy. So they kind of go in last. All right, now what we're ready to do is we're ready to add this lovely saute of the chicken, the onions and the pepper, and that bit of canola oil and the garlic. Get all of that in there. Don't want to waste a bit of it. And I'm going to stir that around. Whew, it smells very good. See, this is going to be very hearty. And then I'm going to put the lid on it and let it simmer for about 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, now we're going to check this now. Yes, it's cooking very vigorously. I think it's time to add our thickening agent. And I'll tell you, this is one of the best ways to use some of those extra pumpkins that you pick up. If you're like me, you decorate with them, and then, you know, after Thanksgiving, what do you do with them? This makes such good use of them. I'll stir all this together. And I've cooked it to where the pumpkin is just beginning to get soft. You don't want it to go mushy. Oh, that smells absolutely divine. And I'm going to cover this up just like this and turn it off and let it sit. It'll be ready to serve in about 10 minutes. Give it a try. It's one of the best stews you'll have this fall.